Hello, in this video we're going to show you how to assemble this bunk bed. But before we get started, here's a few things to keep in mind. This bunk bed should take about 100 minutes to assemble, and we recommend 2 people. Make sure you have a Phillips head screwdriver, and just make sure all the pieces are facing the right way as you're putting it together, and you'll do great. In this video we're going to focus on the trickier parts and go quickly through the easier steps, so just make sure you pause the video and complete all the steps as we go. With that said, let's get into it. In step 1, we're going to put dowels into all of these pieces here. Okay, we're good to move on. In step 2, we're going to put together pieces 2, 3, and 19. And for this, on piece 19, you want this groove to be on the same end as the curved side of 2. And it should be facing up like this, and the notches on this piece should be facing up like this. And then we'll put the steps in between, and the dowels should be on the top edge. So we'll put these into place. And once those are together, we'll put 4 bolts on each side into the steps. Okay, we're good to move on. In steps 3 and 4, we're going to attach pieces 5 and 4 to the ladder here. And for this, the wider piece is going to go up in this bigger notch up here. And you just want to make sure that this hole lines up with this edge of the ladder so that we can put a bolt into it. And then same thing with piece 4, just make sure this hole lines up with this hole here. And then step 4 is attaching the bolts. Next we can move on to step 5 and attach pieces 6 and pieces 7. Piece 6 will go down here by piece 4. And with piece 6 we just want this more squared off groove to be facing inwards and on the top edge here, because that's where our panel will go into. And we can attach that with a bolt to the inside. And as another point of reference, if you need it, this groove should line up with the notch on this side of the ladder as well. And then piece 7 will go up here at the top. Next, in step 6, we'll insert the panel. And just make sure that goes all the way in. And then next in step 7, we'll attach piece 20. And then with piece 20, we have these 2 pairs of holes that are aligned, and then these ones that are offset. The offset ones will go down here with piece 6 and 4. And this notch will line up with the panel here. So we'll just line up all the dowels and then put it together. And with this step, it can be kind of helpful to put the bolts in part way, just to hold things in place while we line up the panel. And then one more thing to watch out for on this is just to make sure that edge doesn't come out. But once those are all together, we can move on. In step 8, we'll put together pieces 21, 22, 3 of pieces 12, and piece 13. So for this, with pieces 21 and 22, just want these notches here, these grooves to be facing up when we do this. And with this top piece 12 here, we're not going to put a bolt into this part yet. That'll be in the next step. But we will put bolts in the other 7. Okay, we can move on. In step 9, we're going to put piece 23 in between the 2 end caps. So for this, we'll go ahead and stand up this one first. And piece 23 is going to go in these holes here. And then we're going to take our long bolts and the little nut, and the nut's going to go in this hole here. Just make sure that it's lined up so that the bolt can go into it. And then we'll tighten that. Next, we'll do the same thing on the other side. So we'll stand up this end cap and line it up. Okay, next we can move on to step 10 and attach piece 15 right here. And this piece is going to slide in to the grooves on the top of these pieces. And next in step 11, we'll secure this with bolts. So we'll put the nuts on the inside like we did before, and the bolts from the outside. And when you put the nuts in, you want to have the little notch facing outwards so that you can adjust it with your nail or a screwdriver so that it can line up. And the same thing on the other end. Next, we can move on to step 12 and put piece 12 on this side and piece 7 here. And we'll secure these with bolts. And this piece 12 that goes here is the one that has the sticker on it, so just make sure that's facing the right way. Next, we can move on to step 13, and we'll be putting piece 16 along here. And once the panel's in, we just want pieces 12 and 7 to fit into place. And then next in step 14, we'll put bolts in like we did on the other side. Once those are in, we can move on to step 15 and put in 2 bolts here. And on the other end, I already put this one in before. Once those are tight, we're good to move on. In step 16, we're going to attach the slats. And for this, we'll just use these little spacers and slide it up to the end. And then we'll put in our screws. Now once the screw goes in part way, we can take out the spacer so it doesn't get stuck. And then we'll put a screw on the other side. And then we'll grab our next slat and set it in, and then use our spacers again. And do the same thing, and then we'll do the rest of them. All right, once we're done with the slats, we can move on. In step 17, we'll take our paper roll holder and put this end in first, and then this end will rest in there. And then we're done. We hope this video was helpful for you. And for more guides, tips, and tricks, go to walkeredison.com.